Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are taking a seriously fascinating journey into something you literally use every single second of the day, but probably don't think twice about: the human body. We're going to start small, like microscopic small, and zoom all the way out to the massive, complex systems that keep you moving. So let me ask you this. What actually connects a microscopic double helix, something so incredibly tiny you can't even see it with a regular microscope, to the 206 hard, rigid bones that give your body its shape? I mean, how exactly do we get from invisible biological data to a fully functioning human being? Well, the answer is all about the unbelievable, layered organization of human biology. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, the blueprint of life. Second, inside the cell. Third, essential life processes. Fourth, the cardiovascular highway. And finally, the skeletal framework. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The Blueprint of Life, Understanding DNA.
Okay, so DNA, it stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. Think of it as a polymer made of two polynucleotide chains wrapped around each other in that famous double helix shape. But this isn't just some pretty structure, right? It's literally the master architectural blueprint for you. It carries every single genetic instruction for the development, functioning, growth, and reproduction of all known living things. It is the absolute core of how you are built.
And what's absolutely wild to me is just how simple this underlying code actually is, especially when you consider the sheer complexity of a human being. DNA uses just 4 chemical letters, these nucleobases called adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine, or just A, T, C, and G. And they follow really strict rules. A always pairs with T, and C always pairs with G, all strung together along a sugar phosphate backbone. Now, inside our cells, this code is packed tightly into long structures called chromosomes. To actually do anything, that DNA is transcribed into RNA, which then tells the body exactly which amino acids to string together to build proteins. It's a beautifully elegant system.
Section 2. Inside the cell, the microscopic factory.
Your body is made up of literally trillions of cells. But if you look inside just one of them, it's not just some random biological soup. Actually, scratch that. It's much more like a bustling, highly organized factory. You have these membrane-bound structures called organelles, and they act like specialized workers. They coordinate tasks incredibly efficiently, all while keeping the cell totally protected from outside threats.
Let's spotlight 3 of the most crucial workers in this cellular factory. First up, the nucleus. This is the largest double-membraned organelle, and it's basically the control center because it houses that DNA blueprint we just talked about. Next, the mitochondria. You've probably heard this one called the powerhouse of the cell, and for good reason. These oval-shaped guys handle cellular respiration and store up energy as ATP molecules. And third, we have the lysosomes. These are tiny, circular, single-membrane structures packed with digestive enzymes. Biologists sometimes playfully call them suicidal bags because their whole job is to digest dead or damaged materials and clear out waste so the rest of the cell doesn't get contaminated. So you've got the blueprint, the power, and the waste management, all working in perfect harmony.
Section 3. Essential life processes, the balancing act.
Now, all those organelles are working together for one massive goal: homeostasis. The word comes from the Greek homeo, meaning the same, and stasis, meaning standing. A little over a century ago, a French physiologist named Claude Bernard figured out that our cells only survive when their internal conditions, like temperature and chemical makeup, stay relatively constant. Later on, an American physiologist, Walter Buchanan, actually coined the term homeostasis. But here's the thing: it doesn't mean your body's just frozen in place. It's actually a relentless, dynamic balancing act. Your body is constantly making tiny adjustments to keep your internal environment perfectly stable, no matter what crazy things are happening outside.
To pull off that balancing act, your body relies on metabolism, which is basically the sum total of every chemical reaction happening inside you. You can think of it as a game of 2 halves. On one hand, you have anabolism. This is the building up phase, where your body takes an input of energy to build complex structures out of simpler ones. On the flip side, you've got catabolism. This is the breaking down phase. When you eat food, catabolism breaks those complex substances down into simpler building blocks, which is what actually releases the energy you need to survive. These two are constantly dancing together to keep the factory running. And beyond metabolism, there are a few other absolute must-haves for human life. We've got responsiveness. That's your ability to detect and react to things, like sweating when you step outside on a hot day. Then there's movement, which is happening literally everywhere, from blood flowing in your veins to the massive contractions of your muscle fibers. We also have reproduction, and not just making new humans, but cellular reproduction to repair and replace your own worn-out cells. Add growth to the list, increasing your size by adding or enlarging cells. And finally, digestion and excretion, which makes sure we actually absorb our nutrients and get rid of toxic waste.
Section 4. The cardiovascular highway. Okay, let's zoom out now. Front and center in your body is the human heart. This highly specialized muscular organ is a relentless engine. It continuously pumps blood through a massive, sprawling network of blood vessels. It is the absolute center of your circulatory system. Listen, without this pump doing its thing, the oxygen and nutrients that all those tiny cellular organelles desperately need, they just wouldn't get there. And that toxic carbon dioxide waste wouldn't get carried back to your lungs to be exhaled.
If we look a little closer at the design of this pump, say looking down at the heart valves from above, you can clearly see the mitral, tricuspid, aortic, and pulmonary valves. These four vital structures are essentially one-way doors. They maintain a strict unidirectional flow of blood through the chambers of the heart. They are perfectly designed to prevent any backward leakage in the system.
But the cardiovascular system doesn't just work in a vacuum. It interacts with pretty much everything else. Think about it. It partners with the respiratory system to transport oxygen and carbon dioxide. It teams up with the digestive system to absorb broken-down nutrients straight into the bloodstream. It acts as the delivery service for your endocrine system, ferrying hormones around to regulate your growth and metabolism. And it is absolutely vital for the immune system, rushing white blood cells to exactly where they're needed to fight off an infection. It really is the body's ultimate superhighway for sharing resources.
Section 5. The skeletal framework.
206. That is a truly impressive number, and it represents the total count of bones in the adult human body. This is the rigid physical structure that frames and protects absolutely everything we've talked about so far. Your skeleton is beautifully divided into two main sections. First, you have the axial skeleton. That's 80 bones, including your skull, spine, and rib cage, and it forms your central vertical axis. Then, you've got the appendicular skeleton. That's 126 bones, and it makes up your upper and lower extremities, so your arms and legs. Put them together, and you have a flawless biomechanical chassis. But you know, we often think of bones as just dead scaffolding. They are absolutely not. Yes, they provide protection, like how your 33 vertebrae perfectly shield your delicate spinal cord. And sure, they offer stabilization and support, but they also act as crucial mechanical levers so your muscles actually have something to pull against to make you move. On top of that, bones are highly active living organs. They perform a process called hematopoiesis, meaning they literally manufacture red blood cells right there inside your bone marrow. Plus, they act as a massive storage vault, holding on to roughly 99% of your body's calcium, all while providing essential attachment points for your muscles, ligaments, and tendons.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a quote from the National Cancer Institute's SEER training modules that just completely nails it. No part of the body, from the smallest cell to a complete body system, works in isolation. All function together in fine-tuned balance for the well-being of the individual and to maintain life. I love that. It perfectly captures the absolute biological harmony happening inside you right now, from your microscopic DNA all the way up to the bones you're standing on.
So, I want to end on a question for you to ponder. If trillions of tiny cells, guided by just 4 microscopic chemical letters, can flawlessly cooperate with massive organ systems to keep you alive and functioning every single second of the day, what undiscovered biological mysteries are still hiding right now within your own body? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning and keep marveling at the absolutely incredible machine that is you.